Welcome to The Lock Shop with Nielsen and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
Happy long weekend, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Lock Shop, presented to you by our partners at Coolbet. Obviously, when you do sign up for an account, use the code LOCKSHOP when you sign up, and they'll know that we sent you. Huss, how's the storm treating Winnipeg, buddy? How's Winnipeg doing lately?
Man, this is unbelievable. Like, listen, we've had such a brutal winter. This would not be anything noteworthy, frankly, over the past 5 months. But the fact that we're sitting here in the middle of April, going into Easter weekend, Good freaking Friday, and many people haven't even left their houses for 2 days. And I will say this. We were fortunate in Winnipeg. We got into a bit of a dry slot, and we didn't get quite as much snow as I know people were worried about. But, I mean, just 15 minutes north of the city, they got 40, 45 centimeters. I mean, just make it end. All right, we've got baseball going on. It was just hilarious. We're sitting there snowed in, watching the Blue Jays play. The season of baseball is on, and we're dealing with this right now. But anyways, we'll get through it. It should be a bit better next week. Tell you what, if we can hit a golf winner this week, it would make it that much better. Great start. How about Corey Connors with the ace yesterday, Dusty? That was
boy. Might actually get on TV.
yeah, no doubt, eh?
Yeah, go ahead.
But I was just going to say, so, had a lot of time to hunker down, watch sports, and we'll get into the weekend. And hopefully, I will say this, I tweeted out some picks yesterday. I got out all my terrible picks the Thursday before the lock shop. That's the strategy. So I think I'm going to be hot. I've actually had a good week, pretty good picks on Tuesday. Nailed the 3-gamer, all 3 of them actually on Wednesday. So I think I was feeling a little cocky, and I got put in my place last night by the betting gods. But today, we're back.
Same thing, kind of the same thing for me last night. Although I logged in yesterday and I was a significant amount more than I thought I was, because I thought I had an NHL parlay, a heavy bet on NHL parlay a couple nights earlier. And in my mind, I had Panthers -1.5 against the Ducks, but it was money line. So I hit it. And as soon as I saw them, they were fighting them. Remember, it was a close game. I was like, this is garbage. So I stopped paying attention. I log in yesterday. I'm like, I must have hit it. I click on my bet. I'm like, oh, I did have money line, not -1.5. So it was a nice little surprise yesterday. I love when you log into your account and it's way more than you thought it was going to be. There's no better feeling, buddy. No better feeling.
No, exactly. Nice. And wasn't quite able to. I'm just checking last night. Was not able to get the North Melbourne to cover the 31.5 against the Western Bulldogs in the AFL. We did get a nice cover by Sydney. I do have a 2-gamer for tonight's action, though, which we'll get to. But bit of a slow night in the National Hockey League. I mean, we're
definitely. Let's dive into that. Chris Abbott's going to join us right away. So we'll do our Friday picks, then we'll get to our partner parlay, which is paying plus 485. But it is a light night in the National Hockey League, Huss. So we're both on the same 2 games because they're the only 2 games tonight. With that being said, I actually don't mind our options on these 2 games.
Yeah, well, I mean, let's start with the Jets and Panthers, and we sort of talked about what's been going on here. This is the funniest side story of this all. So the Jets played Sunday, Monday in Montreal and Ottawa. So they flew back to Winnipeg, late, like probably got in at 2 or 3 in the morning on Tuesday. We're supposed to play the Kraken on Wednesday and then leave Thursday for the Florida trip. Well, they get back right in the midst of all these warnings that this could be the worst blizzard in decades. Probably say hi to the wives and kids and then say, honey, the game tomorrow's canceled. And we're leaving to Florida right now. So there's gas in the generator.
See you later.
If you need some extra batteries, we're out. So the Jets, who are basically done for the year, have also been chilling in Florida for a few days going into this one. Now, I'll say this. They played one of their best games in a long time against Montreal without Mark Scheifele and Blake Wheeler. I do believe Wheeler's going to be back in the lineup, and that'll be a nice boost. But these 2 teams are in different weight classes, shall we say. And even when the Jets were strong, this, like it is for a lot of Canadian teams, I think one of those spots in the schedule where you might not get the let's just say the playoff level performance of the road team going into Fort Lauderdale in South Florida. That being said, these guys' teams can score. We know that Florida gives up a bunch and score as much as anyone. So I was considering, a puck line bet on the Panthers. I was considering what you're going. I'm just going to take the over in this game. Watch for some, hopefully get some goals. Who knows? Maybe the Jets could win the game and could still win the bet. I think Florida's obviously a heavy favorite. What are they? Minus 256 on the money line. So over 6.5 at minus 137 is my pick. Regardless of who's in net for both teams, I think we're going to get some goals. Should be a fun game to watch tonight. Certainly the Panthers have been that way all season long, and I don't see that changing. So I'm taking over 6.5.
Quickly, because the Islanders-Habs game, we're both on that one as well. And it was just pointed out, I just double-checked it. Carey Price is starting tonight for the Montreal Canadiens. Did you know this when you went Islanders money line? Well, I'm not changing my opinion. I'm still going to go Islanders money line here, but Carey Price is starting. Yeah,
well, I heard it this way. I did a little digging because I was wondering why the heck the Islanders were only minus 147 favorites in the game.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, it's awesome that Carey Price is back and is starting, but if anyone expects him to come back and be the best we've seen of Carey Price, I think this is more a great bit of progress for him coming back, hopefully mentally, his health-wise, everything, being the goalie for the Montreal Canadiens next year or continuing his NHL career. So, listen, as far as the Islanders go, the Islanders haven't quit at all. They're playing real tough games. They'll win their fair share. Montreal, for their part, got a chance to see them earlier this week. They're playing better under Marty St. Louis, but they are still undermanned. And I think Barry Trotz is really, he's working next season right now on this hockey club. There's a lot of pride, and he has a great track record of getting the most out of his club. So I still do like the Islanders in this game on the money line. But I'll tell you what, Dusty, that is going to be that'll be a special night at Bell Center. They haven't had a lot of nights like that this year. We know what Carey Price has meant to the organization. And who knows, maybe it'll be a little Cinderella story of him coming back and getting the win at plus 125. That being said, it's the Islanders going on my card at minus 147.
Just the one thing I add before we get to our partner parlay, and Chris Abbott's going to pop by. And the Panthers, how ridiculous is it that over 3.5 goals for the Florida Panthers nowadays is minus 159? That's how many goals the Florida Panthers score. And for them to score 4, you're only getting minus 159 on it. They have been absolutely incredible so far this season. So yeah, I'm on the Panthers in regulation tonight at home against the Winnipeg team that Huss kind of laid out the case for. And I'm going to stick around with the Islanders money line here at minus 147. Let's dive into this parlay, and we're going to have to discuss this. I don't know if it's 100% been posted yet, but I'm on the Clippers money line, and it was just announced moments ago that Paul George has entered health and safety protocols and is not going to be able to play tonight. So all of a sudden, I don't want the Clippers money line on this partner parlay at minus 175. So we'll bring in Chris right away to discuss this. I don't know if it's already been posted or what, or if we can just, without Paul George, I'll just flip it on the other side. I'll take Pelicans money line. But yeah, no Paul George. And can you believe this, Huss? Paul George finally gets back. Looks like they might have something going with him. And then in a play-in game tonight, Paul George, and it was Adrian Wojnarowski who I think just tweeted out, but Paul George will not be available for the Clippers tonight. So that crushes them big time.
Well, you don't get playoff P if you don't get play-in P. And it looks like play-in P is not going to be there tonight. That is crazy, crazy news. And, man, you just think of what they gave up to get those guys together. And Steve Ballmer's probably spent a lot more money on things that have come out worse for him. He's got the cash. But I'll tell you what, that Clippers team, well, both LA teams, how hilarious is that we could be going into the playoffs and both the Clippers and Lakers could not be part of the top 8 in the Western Conference.
I just saw somebody go on the live stream. Agreed. Flip it the other way. No Paul George, no chance. And I thought it was going to be a tight game anyway because I've got the Pelicans plus the points in one of my NBA plays tonight. I was trying to hit the middle on this one. So, hey, we'll bring in Chris right away. Quickly, you guys, even if we just have to eliminate my pick and just go with the 2 baseball picks, Huss, you're on the Dodgers here, minus 1.5 tonight.
Yeah, well, listen, they crushed the Reds last night by a half dozen. They are listen, the Dodgers are just the class of the league right now, and I think that the the Reds are one of those teams that we'll be probably talking about. Can they hang in there with big teams midway through the season? Although the NL Central isn't very good. I think that the Dodgers, and by the way, they're putting up a ton of runs. I mean, in these last 3 games, they've given up 5 and scored 5 total and scored 7, 7, and 9. Much like the Jays when they're rolling, the Dodgers are a team where the only chance you're going to get any value on them is betting the run line. Like, for instance, tonight to win by 2 is minus 125. That being said, I think they do it more often than not. And the Reds, very mediocre squad right now. Give me the Dodgers with the run line at a pretty good number, I think, of minus 125. I have a feeling later on this season we're going to be laying minus 150 on those Dodger run lines.
All right, and let's bring in Chris Abbott from Coolbet. You can find him on Twitter at CoolBetChris. He's already turned against the Toronto Blue Jays. We're a week into the season. He pops by for a visit today. Abbott, how are you, buddy?
I'm good, fellas. How are you guys doing? And no, I have not turned against the Toronto Blue Jays, but much like I am with the Maple Leafs, I am a realist. And without Teoscar Hernandez, without Danny Jansen, and with Ross Stripling making his first start, this team is not very deep. And as bad as Randall Grichuk can be at times, Raimel Tapia might as well not even take a bat to the plate when he goes up there, apparently. His on-base percentage looks to be quite fraudulent over his career because he does not look good at the plate. Bradley Zimmer, by all accounts, great center fielder, not good swings last night in New York. And Luis Severino is a good pitcher. He's not Garrett Cole. So I'm hesitant to see how the Jays do tonight. I'm going to the game. There's still room for them to win by 1 here, but I'm taking Oakland on the run line.
This is a classic Chris Abbott trying to mush himself to help the Jays win for a game that he's going to be
but
out.
on the parlay, you're going to do this? Unbelievable.
Well, we'll have to figure out what your new pick is, Dusty. Because,
I will just take the Pelicans. If you just want to put the Pelicans in money line whenever you want, and then we can tweet it out once it's up. Because, I'm no Paul George. Clippers aren't winning.
Depends what the price might be, right? We'll have to wait for it to come back up. So a little bit of a delay, and then the odds are obviously going to be whatever they're going to be. But, so it'll be the Pelicans instead of the Clippers. No, but listen, this Oakland team has actually been quite surprising to me early on, and that's Moneyball for you, right? In short spurts, you can get the results. They were good, and they put lots of runs up against Tampa. There's also the thing that the Jays have not had a day off yet. They're coming in here. Played late in New York last night. Now, listen, it's like a couple-hour flight from New York to Toronto, and like my friend Joe Osborne likes to say, they're not taking a Greyhound bus and sleeping in a Motel 6. But, I mean, there is something to that, and they're coming home. Stripling gets his first start. I'm glad because I was looking at the rotation. I was like, man, I'm going to see Ryu again. He pitched when I was there on Sunday. Listen, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with Hyunjin Ryu throughout this season because he looks like a guy now that when he has his stuff can go 3-ish innings. And he doesn't always have his stuff. But the good news is that this lines up for me to see. I'm not going to the game tomorrow, but I'm going on Sunday, and the big Haas will be on the mound, so I'll be really happy about that.
Hey, one thing. Let me defend my guy Ryu here for a second. We are early. We are a week into the season in a year where they basically got 2 weeks of spring training.
Mm-hmm. And how much training does Mr. Ryu do ever?
Listen,
I thought you were going to defend him because he has the same training regimen as all of us.
He's a natural, Chris. He's a natural. Anyways, I think he'll be fine. But I do think, Len, we've seen this so much. I mean, right now when you're betting baseball, you really do have to think maybe more about bullpens than you've ever done before. Even on the 5-inning lines, we're seeing guys get pulled really early right now. And listen, I'm still choked about Kershaw getting yanked after 7 perfect innings, only 80 pitches.
Pissed me off.
But you know what? That's where we are right now. I mean, in this first couple months of the season, especially through April, we're going to see guys get yanked early. So, I mean, it is something to think about. But as I said, I still have optimism that Ryu will be able to pull his weight in the Jays rotation, even if he's not up at the top of it.
I mean, normally, yeah, but you got to remember that last year as well, he wasn't very good at all. Every time I go to the ballpark, the guy gets shelled, and we'll see. I mean, he's got career-wise, he's been a good pitcher. Last year was certainly different for the Blue Jays, especially in feeling comfortable and whatnot. So we'll see. And I know they leaned on him a lot early in the year last year. So by the time they did get to Toronto, maybe he was gassed a little bit. So we'll see. But
he was the number one guy too at the start of the year. I mean, he was going up against the ace of all the other teams too. And I think some of the placement of where he gets in the rotation might help him a little bit. But as I said, I'm going to hold out any judgments till we get at least a month in the season, 4 and 5. I mean, listen, I was mostly, never mind Ryu. How about Barrios' first start?
Yeah,
he had a 108 ERA going into his second start. That's just never good. Well, the only one way to go but down. Yeah. But man, he looked pretty good against the Yankees despite that rough 5th inning so far. And tell you what, if Vladdy is hitting the way he was a couple nights ago, you or I might be able to get a few innings in for the Blue Jays right now. That was one of the great shows I can remember in the game in a long, long time.
I didn't tweet it. I meant to tweet it. But let me put it on the record here that when he has his like career-ending montage, that game's probably on it. You know, like it's the bloody sock game. You know, it's like he was lucky. I saw a little bit more on that yesterday. You know, he wears like tape around his fingers, like in a couple of spots. And I think that's exactly where the spike got him. Because I was like, this guy's done. Like, I don't know if you've ever been stepped on by one of those metal spikes. They're not, soft. And I thought he was in for a lot of trouble. And to see him come back and do what he did after that. But yeah, I mean, but back to the injury thing. Last night, Lourdes Gurriel's hitting 4th. Raimel Tapia's hitting 5th. Alejandro Kirk, speaking of guys who are on our training regimen, did leg out the infield single last night. But, and then it was, whatever, Biggio and
it's almost like a mail-it-in night, the way I view it.
They just put the only guy that you would have in there that wasn't in there was Chapman. So it's a little bit concerning on the depth. And it's funny, you can always look back, but Reese McGuire filled in very nicely for Danny Jansen last year when he was hurt. They trade him. Randall Grichuk, on the roster, he's your 4th outfielder, and it doesn't make sense to pay him the $10 million he's making, but you could sure use him now. So it's funny sport like that. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
How much action have you got? Like, has it been the Jays' first week here? Has it been really good for you guys? Like, I'm getting sucked back in with the Blue Jays, and damn, was Bet Builder around for baseball season last year, or did it come in after? Because my goodness, buddy, Bet Builder last night. I don't know how many times this year I'm going to have Vladdy hit, Springer hit, Vladdy RBI. It was plus 600 last night. I was like, this is glorious. But yeah, has it been good? A good week, obviously, with the way that the Jays. I mean, the hype and the start and everything's got to be fun for you guys.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, maybe I'm a little bit biased, but baseball's my favorite thing. I really haven't watched much hockey since the baseball season started because I really, truly do enjoy watching the Jays. And I mean, I'm really excited about what they'll be able to do this year. But yeah, people are into it, and people are into the baseball Bet Builder. It wasn't around last year, and frankly,
no, I didn't think so.
I had no idea it was coming. Our product guys were like, "Oh yeah, by the way, Bet Builder's live for baseball now too."
Surprise.
And I was like, "Oh boy." Because it's funny, you can have so many different things to go to for that, and individual instances in a baseball game. More than any other sport, baseball is just this collage of individual instances. So it really works well for the Bet Builder, I find.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love it. It's going to be a lot of bet building for the Blue Jays for me this year. Chris, before I let you go, I had somebody just ask. Yeeps31 says, hey, would you guys be willing to try Betstab? I follow Chris on there. It's fantastic. Tell us a little bit about Betstab. I see you posting your tweets on Betstamp and stuff. Just tell us a little bit about that before we let you go.
Yeah, Betstamp is, they're a company. They're an affiliate company. So, all the books are on there really. And but I also use them for tracking my plays. And I tried using this manual spreadsheet, and it's really, it's difficult. With Betstamp, you go in, they've got all the games, they've got, most of the markets that you'll find on Coolbet as well. So then you put in your bet that you make and how much you bet on it, or if you can do it by dollar or by unit. and then they track it for you. They after the result hits, they result it, and you'll see if you won or lost your bet. And obviously, it's not the same as won or lost your bet on the Coolbet site, but it's a really neat tool for me, especially. I can see how I'm doing because I like to bet a lot, right? So I can see if I have a really bad day or a bunch of really bad days in a row, and maybe I need to take a step back. So I use it as a little bit of a check for myself, just to see how I'm doing. And it's cool. It's also, in the world of online, like, this guy's a good gambler, this guy's not a good gambler. It's receipts. Yeah, so I like that as well.
Yeah, definitely something to check out.
I'm glad I didn't have the receipts from last night for yours truly.
Well, mine was bad too.
I got to pick and choose the days that I put the Betstab picks in because 2 days ago would have been a hero. Last night, a 0.
Well, I went, like 3 or 4 days and I barely missed, and it's great. And then last night, I think I played 6 bets and I won 1 of them. So, it's good like that. But then it's like social media as well, where you can follow people who you want to follow. So the people who follow you on Twitter,
okay, cool.
Tweet out your picks or whatever. I get an alert for the people I follow. So-and-so has placed this bet. And then sometimes like, oh yeah, I like that bet. And then I'll go make it too, or whatever. Right. So it's a neat little community of betting, and it's owned by Rob Pizzola, who's a well-known sports bettor, and he's got a few other
Bobby
well-known.
Pizza.
Yeah. He's got a few other people with him and on it. And, a guy named John Capo. Those guys do a podcast every day. And, they've been, from a business perspective, they've been really cool to work with. Full transparency, they get paid to send players to our website, but also every other website. That's how the affiliate model works.
Yeah.
But I don't get paid to send them people. I don't. I truly enjoy using their product. In fact, me sending people there exposes them to other sports books. So it's counter to my actual business interest. But
true.
It's I really like their product, and I use it all the time. So I'm happy to promote it.
Huss, did you mute yourself?
I guess I did. Sorry about that. The one thing that I'll say is historically, and one that was playing a Coolbet before we started doing this thing, before I even knew you, Chris. Historically, the Coolbet lines have been so competitive, and that's been something that has sort of put them ahead. I mean, I think that more often than not, you'd be more than happy to compare a Coolbet line to whatever else is in the industry, because it probably ends most.
At least on one side of every game, we should have the best line. And that's the other thing. The other thing that Betstab does, it does aggregate lines live. Like, we give them a data feed, and they get data feeds from everybody
That's cool.
else. And you can see where the best line is. And oftentimes we're at least the best line on one side of a game. It's hard to be the best line on both sides of a game because somebody somewhere is going to be taking less juice than you are.
Yeah.
But generally on one side of each total, one side of each spread, and one side of each head-to-head. So, and we do compete on price, Hustler, because we don't have the marketing budget of some of these companies that are just, I guess, funding now media companies in Canada for the next little bit. The money that's going around is crazy. Now, we do some, but, we have to be competitive on other things. And I think it's things that are more important to people than flashy marketing. Is have a good price on the bet, have good customer service, have a face of the brand that people can talk to, and you guys
content,
as well, right? So
content,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So, we like our niche here, our niche. I don't know. I've still
either way. I think it depends where you are in the country.
Yeah, it's like tournament.
Yeah, exactly. The tournament. God, my mouth can't even say that properly. Chris, enjoy your long weekend, buddy, and we'll catch up again next week. All right.
We will, boys. Okay, go ahead, Hustler.
Okay, I had a quick question for you. What's the buzz like? I know we've been talking Jays, Raptors playoffs going in against Philly. Buzz and T.O. about the Raptors, and how are you feeling about the Raps as a series underdog?
I've already got my bet in, plus 150 for the series, and the guys at Coolbet don't even know this yet. We're having a little get together for all the staff in Toronto next week, all the staff in Canada. We're going to Game 3.
Oh, nice.
Yesterday. Yeah.
What day?
I think it's Wednesday night.
I think Game 3 is Wednesday. Yeah.
they're not courtside or anything like that, but the powers that be said, it'd be good if we went to the game. I was like, I don't think you want to spend that money. And we checked it out, and the prices were actually still kind of like regular season prices, which I was surprised about.
Nice.
For game one of the playoffs. So yeah, so we're taking it in. So we'll make sure to get some good content of that as well.
Yeah, make us all jealous with lots of great posts from the game. That's going to be a lot of fun. And I'll tell you what, I think the Raps have a really good shot at winning this series. I mean, they are such a great team. I mean, yeah, do they have Joel Embiid? No, but they are well-rounded. They're consistent. And I got to tell you, when it's coming down to Doc Rivers versus Nick Nurse, and I can get Nick Nurse with that roster as an underdog, I will jump all over it. So I know we're going to get to some NBA in a bit, but I wanted to hear what you were saying, because I mean, it's a crazy time in Toronto right now. I mean, the Leafs are looking great. They've got all the pressure. Jays are hot. Raptors are in the playoffs. I mean, that's got to be pretty fun around there as a sports fan.
So let me tell you about my next few days. So first of all, yeah, they're reopening Jurassic Park and all that out in front of the building. So it's going to be
that'll
great.
Be good.
Tonight I go to the Jays game. Tomorrow, we've got the Toronto Arrows game in the afternoon. Toronto Rock wrap up their regular season against the Halifax Thunderbirds, clash for first place in Hamilton Saturday night. Got the Jays Sunday afternoon. Got the Leafs Sunday night. And in between that, I'm going to try and mix in some Grand Slam of curling, the Players' Championship at Maple Leaf Gardens, Mattamy Athletic Center. So big weekend. I'm starting to come around a little bit with the health, but I'm sure I'm going to be an absolute pile come Monday morning, and I'm going to have to start this recuperating all over again.
Well, don't do anything dumb tonight, because it sounds like you got a pretty busy weekend planned.
Well, we got tickets to the game tonight. There's an Irish pub that I go to that my buddy's band is playing, so
I take that back.
We'll see what happens.
Have a great time, man. Have a great time.
Cheers, boys.
Jeez. I'll see you later, man. That's Chris Abbott from Coolbet Canada. What a weekend he's got lined up. Holy smokes. Lucky guy. All right, we were talking association, and we'll get to our futures plays here for the playoffs in just a second. We do have those games tonight. And like we said, right when we brought Chris on, we found out Paul George was out. So in my actual association bets tonight, I did have the Pelicans plus 2.5. I'll just move that to whatever it is on the money line. I'll take the Pelicans straight up to win that game. And then I've got Atlanta minus 133 at Cleveland. I'll side with Trae Young every time. I mean, he's averaging 31 points per game in April. This is a dude who could go off for 45. So I'm going to be on Atlanta, money line minus 133. And then the Pelicans, I don't know if they've got the new number up yet, but I'll go Pelicans money line against the Clippers tonight.
It's off the board right now. And this has completely thrown me into a loop, because to be perfectly honest, the reason why I was going with the Clippers was that I thought, okay, George is going to come in. As I said, I could make all my play-in P jokes, and then we can talk about playoff P when they are playing in the first round. And now he's not there. Now, there's nothing about the Pelicans that gives me a ton of confidence to ride them. I probably will, to be honest, stay away from this game. I'll be cheering for the Clippers because I've already got in on this parlay along with the Cavs. But the game, I'm going to go on the other side with you, Dusty, from this this Atlanta Cleveland game. And it comes down to a couple things. First of all, home court is important in the NBA, especially in a game like this where the crowd's really going to be into it. Cleveland was pretty good at home this year, 25-16. The Hawks were the exact opposite on the road at 16-25. And you mentioned Trae Young. He is playing very, very well right now. He's the best player on the court. But the Cavs very quietly have turned into a pretty exciting young team. And I don't know. I like them at home tonight in a one game. I think they're going to be buoyed by the crowd. And listen, I think no matter what happens, these teams are going to be short for time once they actually get to the postseason. I guess taking on the Miami Heat in round number 1. But, just looking at the home and road records for the course of the year, the Cavs, I think, are maybe a better, more well-rounded team. Atlanta has the best player. Can Trae Young do it by himself? I guess we will see. But I think they're going to be hyped in Cleveland. They're excited about this young team. They'll be behind them big time tonight. Give me the Cavs as a home dog in this play-in game tonight against the Hawks.
I like it. Lock shop head-to-head in the association on a good Friday. I love it. All right, and then let's get into our association futures. Then Huss has a little AFL and some curling stuff before we wrap up this episode. But Yeah, Huss, where are you going? I ended up going with 3 series totals and parlayed them to get to plus 280. So I'll lay those out in a second. You're moving all over the place with yours. I like it. Lay this card out for us.
Yeah, so I mean, listen, I haven't been as tied into the NBA all season long. I certainly will be now in ball to know that this is going to be a really tough out for any team. And to be honest, I mean, I think the Sixers, while Joel Embiid has been incredible, I'm not sure that they have the depth and are as well-rounded as the Raptors are. Now, it's star power that often wins, so there's a reason why Philly is the favorite, but I think there's real good value. I like Chris. I'm in on it at plus 150. It actually went up to plus 155, and then I just checked last night for what people are going to be betting at it now, and it's plus 145. So still a pretty nice number on the Raptors. Although I did think they might be a bigger number, but I think there's a lot of people that have that sort of confidence. The one thing that I do feel real good about it, this is going to be a long, long series. So I'm taking plus 205 that the series goes 7. If you'd like it, you can bet the exact number of games, and you can also take an over or under. Listen, I think this one's going the distance, so I'm taking plus 205. Raps Sixers series to go the distance. Dallas, Utah is another series. And listen, I'm a huge Luka Doncic guy. He, of course, is injured. There's a lot of speculation as to how well he'll be able to play if and when he is able to play. I know Shams is reporting that he's out for tonight's game. There have been some reports that they haven't completely ruled him out. Bottom line is I think we'll see Doncic for sure at some point. As to how injured he's going to be, I guess we'll see. But I do think that he'll be in. He'll play enough to get the Mavericks at least to 6. So I'm going to take over 5.5 games in this series at minus 125 between Dallas and Utah. And then on the other side, maybe I should give Chicago a little bit more credit, but Lonzo Ball's out for the season. He's been a big part of their success so far this year. And I really do think that people are sleeping on the Greek Freak and the defending champion at Milwaukee Bucks. They're an easy team to ignore. I mean, Giannis is sort of that quiet superstar. They don't have all those national television games. We'll be talking about them now, though, for the next month plus in the playoffs. And I think having won the championship the way they did last year, I think they realized the advantage to finishing off series early. It's very easy, and we see it all the time. Teams sort of bite the foot off the gas, and, maybe the series goes a little longer. In the NBA, with the amount of games these guys are playing, with the wear and tear on a team that went the distance last year, a short series early in the playoffs can be really beneficial. So I think the Bucks get up 2-0 and then really go for the throat when this series goes to Chicago. So again, this isn't a huge play, but I like the sweep. Series over in under 4.5 games. Series decided in game 4. There's a couple different ways to bet it. Bottom line is the number's the same, plus 265. And I guess if something crazy happened and the Bulls won the first 2 and went back home and had the chance to sweep, we could win it that way too. But this is a bet on Giannis and the Bucks to get out of round 1 as quickly as possible and get ready for what is going to be a really interesting and tough Final Four in the Eastern Conference.
And then I took 3 series, just a series total, and it ends up parlaying to plus 280. So Chicago, Milwaukee, under 5.5. You just laid out the case there. I mean, maybe Chicago steals one at home. I got that covered here. It's minus 172. These aren't a lot of numbers I'm going to bet individually. I was trying to build this sort of series parlay. So I've got Milwaukee, Chicago, under 5.5 games at minus 172. I've got Toronto plus 1.5 games at minus 161. So if the Raptors win the series or lose in 7, that thing's covered at minus 161.
I love that one too, just quickly. I mean, that was part of it. I mean, listen, there's a potential if the Raptors win in 7, we could win all of these bets. The Raptors series bet, the series goes 7, and the Toronto plus 1.5. That probably, if I was going to make a bigger bet, if I was willing to lay more money down, that's probably where I go because, it guarantees you the opportunity, the minute it gets to game 6 to cash a ticket and get ready. I'd be stunned if this series was over in 5 games.
Yeah, me too. And then I'm on Brooklyn at Boston over 5.5 games. I know, and it's minus 208, but it brings the number up to plus 280. I'd be stunned if Celtics Nets doesn't go beyond 5 games. I mean, Boston has been playing extremely well as of late, but look who Brooklyn's bringing to the table on the other side of this thing. Like, you're telling me those guys aren't going to get a game or two, or heck, even the series. I think Boston. Wow, to be honest with you, you can't go against KD in the postseason. So I think Boston will probably win the series, but there's no way this thing doesn't go 6 or 7. I would be stunned if this thing is over in 5 games. So I'm on the over 5.5 at -208. So it's Toronto plus 1.5 at -161. Bulls, Bucks under 5.5 games -172, and Brooklyn, Boston over 5.5 at -208, and it pays plus 280 on the parlay, Huss.
I should just clarify myself. I think it's sort of misspoke. So Toronto plus 1.5 means that if they lose in Game 7, they're still good. Yes. Going to 6 doesn't automatically guarantee that. So that was a bit of a brain fart on my part. Let me ask you about this, because I kept looking at this, going back over and over again, trying to figure this out. So the Celtics are -147 series favorites against the Nets. The Nets are plus money to beat the Celtics. But to win the NBA championship, the Brooklyn Nets are plus 650 and the Celtics are plus 850. What am I missing here?
Well, I think what you're missing is, if the Nets win one series, people think they can run the whole table. You know what I mean? Like, if they get going, there might not be any stopping them. But it's a weird, you don't see, I mean, you could look at a lot of different leagues and a lot of different playoff series, and you simply will not see that number.
No, I mean, yeah, listen, feel free to find me another number of teams playing each other in the first round where one team is a pretty significant favorite and to win the championship odds are skewed in the underdog's favor. I can't remember that. Who knows? Maybe we'll have something like that in the, like, if the Leafs play the Lightning in the first round to get home ice, maybe the Leafs are a favorite in the series, but the Lightning are a favorite to win the cup because, to your point, if they get through it, they won it before and people will expect it. I'm not sure. I'll say this, though. I mean, doing enough reading about these teams, the Celtics are at sort of an interesting number considering where the Heat are right now. I still like, and I've seen, like, the Suns have gone down. I was on that yesterday at plus 280. It's now plus 250. And the Bucks have gone from 6-1 to plus 550. Who knows? Certainly, I guess the odds maker seed Heat, who are 10-1 behind the Celtics, the Nets, and the Bucks in the Eastern Conference, of which they are the top team and playing the winner of this play-in game tonight.
NBA futures episode of the Lock Shop. I like it. And it's nice. It timed out perfectly without, a lot of hockey tonight. Worked out well. Obviously, there's no football right now. Before we wrap up, though, Huss, you got some AFL for us? Any curling thoughts?
Well, you know what? We do have, as Chris mentioned, it is the Princess Auto Grand Slam of Curling Players Cup, finishing up this run for all these teams in the Olympic year. And for people in Manitoba, you'll be very familiar with Jason Gunlickson and Mike McEwen's team going at it. And it's what's interesting about this is Reed Carruthers, Mike McEwen's longtime, very close friend and third, is actually going to be skipping his own team with Jason Gunlickson next year. These teams know each other very well. They're always close games. So Gunner getting plus 165, I think, is great value for this afternoon's draw. I'm going to be on that. And we'll also be on Brendan Botcher, who's looking good so far in this tournament at minus 141 against the Ross White rink. And if you do want to parlay those together, plus 353 on those. So might have a little afternoon sprinkle on that. And as far as the AFL, we do have a bunch of games all night. If you're an insomniac for some reason or just up, but I think TSN will probably have one of these games. But I'm actually laying points. I've had a good success over the last couple of weeks, taking some early underdogs. Now I think it's flipping the other way. But you've got Melbourne going up against Greater Western Sydney. Melbourne at the top of the table, the number one team in the AFL. And GWS has been struggling, to say the least. They're 1-3 on the season. This is a massive number, 32.5, but I don't mind laying it for the top team on the table. So Melbourne minus 32.5, and Carlton over Port Adelaide at 9.5 as well. Carleton's had a great start to the season. They're 3-1, and Port A sits at the bottom of the standings at 0-4 on the season. I thought that there'd be a much bigger number on this game than, a single digit, 9.5 number. So give me Carleton and Melbourne. And let me just see. I know I did parlay those. Let me just see what they are on the Carleton and Melbourne. Plus 258 if you do want to put those games together, or just choose one and go for it. But we've already had a few games in the book so far on the table this week. And it wouldn't be a Friday lock shop without some middle of the night AFL picks to get people through. That being said, hey, one other thing, Dusty, I was just noticing this on the site. I was telling you off air, shout out to everyone that jumped on with us on the Roman Josi pick when it was about maybe 2 weeks ago. We couldn't believe that he was still being listed at minus 300 and then minus 250 the next day. Well, we don't have it up right now, and I have a feeling at this point it probably won't go back up. But yesterday they did have the season numbers up, and that number that we got at plus 300 or plus 250 for Roman Josi is now minus 167, and he is the favorite to win the Norris. So we did get in there at a very good time. One other interesting thing, and this is the first time I've seen it listed on Coolbet, the to qualify for playoffs numbers are up, and you've got numbers for the Dallas Stars, Dallas, Nashville, Vegas, LA, and the Vancouver Canucks. For some reason, they're not listing the Winnipeg Jets, who have still not yet been mathematically. The Jets number would be about 1,000,000 to 1 or something like that. But yeah, the Kings are minus 143, Vegas minus 182, Nashville minus 357, and Dallas minus 667. But if you do want to pick out one of those teams who's going to miss the playoffs, you'll get plus money. So if you think the Kings are done, it's plus 120. If Vegas comes back after that big win last night in Calgary, plus 155. Nashville plus 285, and Dallas plus 485. So if you are following those playoff races in the West, new yes or no bets up for the 5 teams that are still ostensibly in the mix.
That'll do it for a Good Friday episode of The Lock Shop. Us taking it easy this weekend or what?
Well, not really. I mean, we've been taking it easy the last few days. I mean, it's Good Friday today. Bad Thursday is one of my favorite days of the year. You go in and get after it, but it was pretty quiet yesterday. So, you know what? Couple Jets games. We still got a few of those. We'll watch that. Probably head out and certainly looking forward to some baseball. Hopefully we got some guys in the mix and keep this strong golf run we've had lately on the Lock Shop goes. So hopefully I'm locked on the RBC Heritage on Sunday afternoon for good reason. But otherwise, lots of fun stuff going on. And then a week, and then not next week, but the following week, Dusty, I will be joining you from Bar Canada at the D Hotel in Vegas, right by the Circa. I'm going to be doing Winnipeg Sports Talk there for the whole week, and doing the Lock Shops as well from there in Vegas for NFL Draft Week.
That's amazing.
I'll probably go and check out some
so
of the draft
jealous.
events and get some people on board. So anyways, was able to make that happen. So yeah, really looking forward to that. We'll get a week in here. And then the ironic thing about it was I thought that I was going to miss the last 3 home Jets games of the year. But with this blizzard, we've now moved that game. The Jets and Kraken are going to finish the regular season 2 days later after everybody else. I think my flight gets in about a half hour before puck drop for that final game. So I might be able to make it to that last one. Now, that being said, let's focus on today's picks, this weekend's games, and we'll get ready for that next week.
That's going to do it for this episode of The Lock Shop. For Hustler, I am Nielsen. Happy Easter, everyone. Enjoy your weekend. We'll be back with another new episode of The Lock Shop on Tuesday. We'll talk to you then. See you later, buddy.